How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Vora Motors. I'm AJ Hart, here today with another guide to maintain your ride. Now, if you've had the Emove Touring for a little bit, eventually you're going to need to replace the brakes on it. On our YouTube channel already, there's 2 videos that kind of go over that, but I figured today I was going to go ahead and take those 2 videos, turn them into one, and walk you through it a little bit nicer and a little bit more hands-on. So, let's just go into it. Now, first things first, I don't think that I had necessarily the right tools for the job, but I will say that I was able to get this whole thing done with a dead blow hammer, an adjustable wrench, a set of hex keys, and I used a pair of pliers, but you could probably use a screwdriver or honestly any other small, tight thing used to pry. I'll kind of explain that later when we get to it. But this was all it took. It's a pretty easy fix, it's just a little bit more complicated than you would immediately suspect. Now the first thing that we're gonna have to do is take off the brake line. So this little nut right here, you can actually just finger tighten, twist that off. There you go. Make sure not to lose it though, because we're going to need to put that back on at the end of the job. Next, we're going to want to detach the brake hose. So the best way to do that is grab this bracket here and pull this back, and then grab the wire up top and pull that back. And it should pop right out. Make sure not to lose this. Maybe put it with the last screw. If you have a bucket or a can, I would say drop that into there. Same with this. So far we've got 3 pieces taken off. Make sure not to lose those, maybe put them in a cup. You've got the screw, the spring, and the brace. Now next is taking off this big nut. Now if you have a big wrench, you can do it with that, but I unfortunately and embarrassingly don't, so I'm just going to use an adjustable wrench. And then on the other side, you're just gonna go ahead and loosen the nut on the opposite side too, because there is one on the other side. There we go. Next, we're gonna take out this screw right here. If you have an Allen wrench, it should be now I got it out with a 5/32. Next, we need to get rid of the lock pin, which is this silver bracket around the rod. So if you just take something and pry it off, there you go. And there is another one on the other side. There we go. Got it. Now that that's all been removed, we're gonna go ahead and make sure everything's clear, and we're gonna start bringing down the rear motor. It's gonna be guided by these 2 rods, and if you just grab the brace and push the whole wheel down, it should slide out. Now you notice it got caught here, so I'm gonna lift this side up and turn it a little bit to make sure that this clears, and then bring it down. Alright, and it came down on both sides, which is great. Now the brake line is gonna be being held here, so we're just gonna pull that loose. You want to make sure not to lose anything here. Now don't yank it away, because on the left side it's still connected, so just kind of dropping it down and making sure that it's still held together is going to be the right move. Now, I'm going to take off this washer, and you'll notice here, you can just pull this right off. And there are your brakes. Alright AJ, so now that I have my drum brake here, how would I replace that? All you're gonna wanna do is yank it off. Be careful of your hands there, because if it snapped on my hands, I would have cried like a baby. And then you're ready to put on the new one. So what you're gonna wanna do is take this little rod and put it into the hole on each side. So it kind of looks like this U shape, this little sandwich, or maybe like a mouth. Chomp, chomp, chomp. What you're gonna wanna do is look at the mouth where it's curved and where it's flat. Look at the brake unit where it's rounded and where it's flat. and you're just gonna put the round up top and the flat on the bottom. And you're gonna wanna try to open the mouth at the same time so that those flat ends and those round ends come around this unit. Now I'm trying to be careful of my hands. Now it's almost there. I'm gonna go ahead and take something and kind of wedge it underneath so that this bottom will sit correctly. It's not quite sitting how I want it to on the top though, so again, I'm gonna try to just wedge it and get it a little more secure. There we go. Now it's nice and flush. There's not gonna be too much of a room for error. It was sitting on this little tiny ridge, so that's why I had to take the pliers and kind of nudge it away from that ridge so that it was just hugging the stem. Same with down here. The flat end was kind of cramped against the bottom, so I wanted to grab something and wedge it up and just kind of shove it up so that it was flush against everything. Now, we're ready to reinstall it, just like the way that we took it all off. You're gonna take the whole unit and you're gonna put it back on the wheel. We're gonna take that washer that we had before and we're gonna go ahead and slide that back on there. Then we're gonna go ahead and lift this back up and in. Now, a hack I'm gonna tell you right now is actually if you take the scooter and you flip it sideways, it's a little bit easier to install. Now you notice I'm having a little bit of difficulty with this bottom side getting in, so I'm going to use a dead blow hammer, which is just a hammer with a little bit of rubber on the end, to try to nudge that into place. Good to go. Now, those locks from earlier, those lock pins, I'm gonna put that lock pin on top. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take that bolt from before and go ahead and tighten this one now. Then we're gonna go ahead and stand up and put the lock pin on the other side. Now don't tighten everything down there completely yet because there is still some more adjusting that we're going to need to do before we tighten it all down. There we go. Now I can get this in. So we're just going to go ahead and make that finger tight at first. Then use that Allen wrench and finish tightening that screw down. Once that's guided, I'm going to go ahead and tighten these bolts down again one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and tighten down that Allen screw. Now the brake line, I found it easiest to just go ahead and slide the spring up as much as you can. Go ahead and line this up. Pull the brake line. Then take that bolt, put it back through, and then go ahead and feed the brake line back in through it.
Then you can pull the spring down and then place it into the little bracket.
And then, there we go. and tighten that to where it feels right. And you can always just come down and adjust it later when you're on your ride to what feels best. And there you have it. Just like that, the Touring brakes are replaced. Like I said, it's not a difficult job, it's just a little bit complicated because there's a lot of little things that could go missing. If you have any questions or concerns about your scooter, go ahead and drop those into the comments down below. If you have any ideas for other videos you'd like to see us do, go ahead and drop those into the comments down below as well. We hope that this video helped, thank you so much for watching, and we hope you enjoy your ride.